I have answered the call of the Danger Zone, and I've seen Top Gun Maverick, and man, did I have an incredible time. This is a crowd-pleasing movie. It's the definition of a crowd-pleasing movie, and it's also kind of impossible that a movie that takes place 36 years after the original can be so well crafted. And honestly, this is a movie that is meant to be seen on a large screen. You're going to hear that in all the marketing, but in this case, it really lives up to that credo. This is an incredible film to see projected because of the aerial cinematography that they pulled off. They had cameras in the cockpits with the actors, and they did all of this crazy stunt work. It's so beautifully captured. And you can see the fear, you can see the sweat, you can see the tension in all of the performers' faces, and particularly in Tom Cruise, who is basically throwing his body in the cockpit, left to right, up and down, and his face is just making all of these weird expressions because he's just trying to contend with flying these craft in all of these extraordinary ways. And it's amazing to watch. Honestly, it's just absolutely incredible to watch. You're left breathless. And it's also very emotional, this movie, because of the tension and because of the unbelievable history that we get to tap into with this movie. At the point of this movie, Maverick is a test pilot. He has decided to put all of his skill into trying to fly prototype airplanes and airplanes that can break the speed of sound multiple times over and pull all kinds of excessive Gs. And the Navy has this contentious relationship with Maverick, who has been a rule breaker over the years, but also a bit of a record breaker in terms of the achievements that he's been able to collect along the way as a test pilot for sure, but also when he was serving and got into the action of the original Top Gun film. And he hasn't aspired to become an admiral like some of his peers have in the film. He hasn't really progressed in his military career. He's chosen to remain a captain, and he gets pulled in to train some of the best pilots in the world at the Top Gun Academy, and he doesn't really know if he wants to do that, but it's kind of his last option. And so we get to see Tom Cruise take command of this elite flying force and show them what he is made of and what they need to learn for this really ridiculously complex mission, which is laid out kind of like a Star Wars mission, which I thought was incredible. Because honestly, what you're looking at with the technology that these pilots are flying and the way that this movie was made, it feels like science fiction. It's just exhilarating. The way that the camera is just moving with this craft, the way that they've got cameras inside of cockpits capturing every emotion, every terror on the faces of these actors, including Tom Cruise, who really puts himself into this performance-wise as well. Like, he really understands what this would do to the body and to the psyche, and you can feel the weight of multiple G's on the body when he's explaining, and he says that it's going to feel like you're 2,000 pounds. You can see it on the faces, especially on Tom Cruise. And so that is absolutely the most successful element of this film, is when we're thrown into the cockpits with these pilots and we're doing all of these stunts and we're watching the tension ratchet up, and we don't want anybody to crash, and they're dodging and weaving so close to canyon walls. It's amazing. It's absolutely incredible. Where the movie let me down a little bit is that I wanted to know more about Tom Cruise's Maverick character in the 36 years that's transpired since the first film. There's a lot of life in there. There's a lot of life that would be in all of our lives, but in this test pilot's life as well, and it would have been nice to see a little bit more of that in the relationships that he's got in present day, but also reflected on, because he's got these shrines to his past, but they all seem to be so focused on the Top Gun years, in what we knew before. And so you see this character, Maverick, is kind of reflecting on his high school football career or something, the glory days of his past. And I don't know, man, I feel like there's too much life that has transpired between Top Gun 1 and Top Gun Maverick that anybody would have lots of other points of connection and lots of other things to kind of focus on. And I feel like we didn't really get to know that, and so it makes the character a little bit too straightforward, a little bit too opaque, and it would have been really cool to see a little bit more detail in there. I mean, he's just a stand-up, straight-up, straight shooter kind of guy. He's got a mission, he's going to do the mission, and he's going to try to not let the demons of the past and the people that he may have let down in the past bog him down at all. And that's interesting to a degree, but I would have liked a little bit more emotion seeped out of that. But this is absolutely a movie that taps into nostalgia, understands what the audience is there to see, and does it so effectively, so intelligently. And you can see the machine behind, the process of all of this, but it's so well crafted. It's hard to kind of pick this apart at all. The only thing that I would have wanted is just a little bit more of the story of what Maverick has been going through during that time period. But when we're talking about this sort of connective tissue to the past, it's incredible. I loved Miles Teller's performance as the son of Goose. I thought he was terrific. Lots of great sort of layers and a lot of frustration and care between his character and Maverick. I also thought that the injection of Jennifer Connelly into this picture added a lot of humanity to it, and you can see that Maverick's character is really trying to grapple with his aging and his relevancy, and also his connection, his profound connection to Jennifer Connelly's Penny, who he's had an on and off relationship over the years. That's the only kind of glimmer of we see that he's got relationships outside of the Top Gun years and the stuff that's happening now for Maverick, and I wanted more of that. Also, Jon Hamm is terrific in this. All of the supporting actors are really, really strong. Everybody's been chosen and cast very well for their performances. The guy that plays Hangman is a cocky son of a bitch, just like Val Kilmer was as Iceman. So, lots of different echoes and shadows, and also that I think that sort of vantage point that Tom Cruise must have, because he's worked on so many films now and with so many different casts of people, that sort of circle of life kind of vibe, the way that life kind of echoes and shadows through time. You see a lot of similarities in people that you meet on the road that you take, the journey that you take, and I thought that was really cool. Honestly, the movie was made with a lot of technical maturity. The visual effects are seamless, and the audio and the sound score, all of it, the music, it just wells up. It really honors the past, but it also legitimizes this whole enterprise and makes the whole picture very much worthwhile. Obviously, this is going to be a massive success this year. I think it's going to be a tremendous blockbuster, and who knows what happens from here. I wouldn't be surprised if some kind of new Top Gun project becomes a regular thing with Paramount Pictures based on the success of this. But this was successful. It was a really, really nice kind of look back at something that was a global phenomenon in the 80s and has just grown in admiration over the years. And this movie honors that, but it also stands on its own because it's so well made. The aeronautical stuff and the commitment is there on screen. And I have to give a special shout out to Joseph Kosinski, who directed this thing and apparently had over 800 hours of footage to cut everything together with. And it shows, man, there are so many beautiful shots in this picture. But Kosinski has made gorgeous movies in the past, and he's had success with things like Oblivion and Tron Legacy. I think this is going to be his breakout film. This is going to be the thing that puts him on another level. He knows where to put the camera. He's an incredibly technically proficient filmmaker, and I think he's diving into something that's incredibly crowd-pleasing with Top Gun Maverick. It's a masterwork of filmmaking. It really is. Like, you just know the commitment and the money and the effort and the collaboration with the Navy, and all of the pieces came together because of the machine that is Tom Cruise and Jerry Bruckheimer, and they willed this into becoming an exceptional time at the movies. Is it also a little jingoistic? Is it also, a little simplistic in terms of its context and its storytelling? We don't really get to know any of the foreign threats that are discussed in this movie. There's no flag attached to anything. They don't get into it. It's absolutely a popcorn movie. But it is a movie about teamwork and about being valuable no matter how old you get, and how the actions that you do in time ripple throughout time, and how much people matter to each other, and the ghosts that we live with. And it's just fun. And I got to tell you, the woman I was sitting beside watching the movie, she was crying for like the last 25% of this movie. Like, it was just emotional, and the emotion comes out of the action, but also I think the reflection, right? Because the Top Gun juggernaut has existed in all of our lives for so damn long. So I love Top Gun Maverick. It's incredible, and it absolutely should be on your list to see this summer, and hopefully you see it on the biggest screen that you can find. I'm going to give Top Gun Maverick a 9.5 out of 10.